Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Drive Pink Dialogue. It is a beautiful day to be an Inter Miami fan. It's Saturday morning, doing it a little bit early today because Inter Miami shined on Friday Night Lights. I'm your host, Scotty. I'm here with my co-host, Saur, and today we're talking about Inter Miami's 3-1 victory over Nashville, in which they took care of business, got a lot of good performances, got a lot of feel-good performances. I think you could see what might make this team special in that game. And ultimately, we're here to talk about it, break down some of the biggest plays, and give out some awards as always. But before all of that, I'm here with my co-host, Saur. How are you feeling today?
Bright and early on a Saturday morning. This is what a Saturday sunny day looks like. I have not experienced this in a while. We were so excited by yesterday's performance. We just wanted to come straight back on just about 12 hours after we finished our last Raw reaction. And I'm ready to talk about Inter Miami again. That went way too smoothly, much better than I expected it to. And you were right. Inter Miami shone under the bright lights, and it was fantastic. How are you?
Is this the best we've felt as Inter Miami fans all year?
No, Club World Cup. That was like a whole other feeling.
Okay. Yeah. The Club World Cup, I think maybe after the LAFC CONCACAF Champions Cup second leg, feeling pretty good. But I also think during the Club World Cup, I don't know if I think we were pretty clear that we didn't expect it to follow through. Whereas right now, I actually feel like the team's just in a really good spot. So while that was like a higher high, I feel pretty good about this team maintaining what they've got right now, which is, of course, the most dangerous words around this Inter Miami team. But I feel pretty good right now, and even if it's not the best moment of the season, it's like right up there, number 3 maybe.
I don't know if it's the moment of the season or if we feel comfortable with the team, but the team is genuinely clicking. Like you can see there's issues, and maybe it's the expectations that have come out, right? We understand what this team is now. Finally, after some 50 odd games, we've come to understand that, yes, there are going to be defensive issues. We're going to have to deal with defensive weaknesses. Seems like Javier Mascherano's listened to our podcast, made a few adjustments, and one way or another, Inter Miami is not the perfect team, but they are clicking and they're doing the right things correctly. And it's less chaos and more targeted breaking down of the opposition. And we're enjoying that. And hopefully that continues for another 4 or 5 games, preferably 4. And maybe we win the cup. Who knows?
Yes. Maybe we should not count our
Older
chickens before
horses.
they. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the big news from this week, though, because we haven't had a chance to talk about it on the podcast yet, and that's Lionel Messi's re-signing. We found out on Thursday. It was, I thought, a pretty artistic representation, a video that they posted on social media of him signing his new contract at the ground where the stadium is being built, and you can see all the construction in the background. That stadium happened because Lionel Messi signed with Inter Miami. I know they had plans. I know they had petitioned the city government to make that happen, but it was like days after Lionel Messi announced he was going to sign with Inter Miami that they actually got those plans approved by the city government, that the funding started to come together for it. So in a very real way, that stadium is the house that Messi built, or at least it's going to be the house that Messi built. And now he's going to be the star and the captain that christens it over the next 3 years. It's a 3-year contract. Lots of speculation about opt-outs and everything like that. I don't think any of it matters. He's not going to play for another club again in the rest of his career, and it'll just be a matter of, do I want to play in 2027? I'll make that decision at the end of 2026. Do I want to play in 2028? I'll make that decision at the end of 2027. But for now, he's locked in. He'll be back next year. He's already got Rodrigo de Paul. They're going to sign Sergio Reguilon. There's a whole other roster that they got to put together. But basically, like, the king is back, and he's not going anywhere. And I also think this solidifies his Inter Miami legacy. I think if he had left, there was a way that he wouldn't have been remembered fondly, just if everything went bad at the end. But I think the fact that he's decided, I'm going to make this my last place, and then he's going to be able, join ownership and all that other stuff, it's secure now for Messi's Inter Miami legacy?
Here's how I think about it. There are players who join the club and add a chapter in its glorious past, become an important phase of that club's history. Zlatan with LA Galaxy, David Beckham with LA Galaxy, maybe Son Heung-min with LAFC. All these players come in, they add a chapter to the book that there is. Lionel Messi is more than that. He has intertwined his destiny with Inter Miami. First of all, Inter Miami is a nascent club. We don't have much of a history compared to some of these other big clubs. But even then, Lionel Messi has made himself a part of the fabric of the club. From here on out, until he retires, even after that, Inter Miami will always be known as the Lionel Messi club, the club that Messi built. And he wasn't there for the first 2-3 years, but he was there for the most important parts of Inter Miami's history. And that for me is brilliant. And we're always going to be known as the Lionel Messi club, and I have absolutely no problem with that. None whatsoever.
Well, maybe. I mean, we weren't. You may have thought we were always going to be known as the David Beckham Club, but to your point, like he's going to be at the ownership, in the ownership boxes during games, and I think he's going to spend a lot of time in South Florida from here on out. And you're going to see him even after he retires on the sideline cheering on the guys, and maybe there's a recruiting role for him to help bring guys to South Florida, and like that's going to go long past his playing days. So. Great feeling. I don't know how anyone could be upset or disappointed in this news. He's a star, and I think he's going to continue to be a star. And by the way, like if you watched the game last night, I don't think there's any reason to feel like we're not going to get an excellent player for the next 3 years on top of all that.
And I think, yeah, you're absolutely right with that. And for Messi, I think it's going to be year by year. First marker is going to be the Club World Cup. The World Cup. And he's going to see how he feels during the World Cup. He obviously has a desire to go there. And then after that, we'll see if he continues to play on till 2027 and then 2028. I generally do not expect him to keep playing till 2028. It's going to depend on how he feels. But the fact that he's just signed and he's committed his future to the club for 3 years, whatever the caveats might be, I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, and as Abhishek says in the chat, Messi scored 22 goals and assists in the last 10 games. He's getting fired up.
That's bizarre numbers, man. Bizarre numbers.
Yeah. And I think Inter Miami finally, over the last couple months, has figured out how to maximize Messi. And by what I mean by that is get the players around him to support him in the best way that they can. Okay, let's get into this Nashville game. We'll just run through a quick recap. We both rewatched the game this morning, got up nice and early for that. And I didn't feel particularly different after I rewatched the game on almost anything, really. But we'll go through the recap anyways. 10th minute, Jacob Schaffelberg for Nashville, kind of bodies off Noah Allen, gets the steal and then has a run. Gets a shot off, but he kind of trips over himself and so isn't able to get a ton of force into it. It becomes an easy save for Rocco Rios Novo. I will just say on the rewatch, I watched it like 4 times. I think that's called a foul like 70% of the time in MLS. So a little bit unfortunate, but it was also consistent with how this game was refereed. So I don't have a problem with it, but I will give Noah Allen like 70% slack on that.
I actually thought that wasn't a foul, but hey, no harm, no foul. Really.
I think that was the message from last night's refereeing. 19th minute, Tadeo Allende steals the ball from Daniel Lovitz, and we both remembered this play, and we talked about it last night as the beautiful assist from Luis Suarez and the beautiful header from Lionel Messi. But the build-up also had a couple really nice moments. Tadeo Allende pressing, winning the ball from Daniel Lovitz, and then popping it over to RDP, who's kind of blocked in, has nowhere to go with the ball, and he just chips it over Taxet's head and gets it to Messi, and that opens up everything for Messi to make the run, push it wide to Luis Suarez, continue his run into the box. Suarez puts the beautiful ball in, and Messi with the fantastic header. That is like as well as you could draw it up from the entire front line, from Allende doing his part, Rodrigo de Paul showing the technical ability that he has, and then Messi and Suarez obviously being fantastic. I don't think you could say enough nice things about this goal.
For me, what stood out was that even moments before that goal, Inter Miami was hounding the opposition for that ball. We were constantly pressing Nashville, trying to put them under pressure. They had a few dodgy passes, and then as soon as we pinned them on that side of the pitch, Hideo Allende with some really good work to make sure he wins the ball. I think he gets a bit lucky that the ball doesn't deflect and go out. It actually moves up and lands comfortably with him. He puts it off to Rodrigo de Paul, who I thought was always in the right position yesterday, which we can talk about a little bit more. But he had a little bit of a dink ball to Messi between two Nashville players. And then Messi just absolutely changing gears, passing it off to Suarez. Brilliant, brilliant cross from Suarez himself. And Messi with such a good header. I think that's probably the best header he scored, because it wasn't an easy header by any means. He was actually going in the same direction that the ball was coming at. So he could have gone off target. There was an entire side to his far post that he could have aimed at, but he actually went near post. And I thought, oof, that's a difficult spot. And he just completely finished it with aplomb. Beautiful, beautiful goal. Yeah, and power.
Power past him. Yeah, there was a goal. He had a header last year against Orlando City in that 5-0 win at the beginning of the 2024 season, where Suarez, it's almost the exact same play, just reversed, where Suarez has the ball wide, whips in an incredible cross, and then Messi with a really nice header into the far post. But I think you're right. I think this was the best headed goal that we've seen from Messi at Inter Miami. 24th minute, there was a moment, I think that was a little nervy, where Busquets just mistouches the ball, and it goes like 2 yards in front of him straight to Jacob Schaffelberg, who tries to make a run. Noah Allen comes in, cleans it up, and then the ball in that same sort of play goes back over the top to Jacob Schaffelberg on the right side, and Noah Allen once again. I thought it was his best moment of the game, where he has this double sort of recovery to prevent a bad Busquets moment from turning into anything dangerous, and ultimately Nashville not able to create anything from that opportunity. And then the other moment in the first half I really wanted to mention was that 31st minute ball to Allende over the top. I couldn't remember in the raw reaction last night if it was Suarez or Busquets, and it was neither. It was Rodrigo de Paul, who puts in a beautiful ball over to the top to Allende. Allende tries to tap it over the goalkeeper. Joe Willis just throws an arm out there, and it just happens to be in the right place. So it's a big save from Joe Willis, but it was just an example of Inter Miami figuring out how to stop this defense. And it was an example of both Rodrigo de Paul and Tadeo Allende both doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing.
And that last play, I think, was probably the only time that Inter Miami was able to completely break the lines with one pass through the middle of the pitch for Nashville. Other times we had to go a little bit over the top, sometimes play through the pockets, but that was one instance where from the midfield to the front, it was instantaneous. Brilliant ball from RDP. And you have to commend Allende, even though the finish wasn't there. He actually had a good first touch. So unfortunate that he couldn't put it on target, but I thought he redeemed himself in the second half when he scored that goal.
Yeah, and it was a nice save from the thing we want from Allende is to take the first touch well and to put it on target, and more often than that, that's going to be good enough, and that's exactly what he did in this game. Other moments in the first half that you wanted to mention, as someone in the chat pointed out, there was a really nice moment where Messi is caught between four defenders, and he just kind of takes a dribble through, I believe it was Yazbek, and continues on running. Eventually does lose it, but it was just that vintage Messi dribbling through guys that he has no business doing, or that no one has any business doing, and yet somehow he can make it happen. I thought Messi was awesome in this first half, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more in awards. But is there any other first half moment that was on your mind?
No, I think the entire game was more, even after rewatching it, I thought there was more to learn about Nashville than there was to learn from Inter Miami, because I thought Nashville had a game plan that could have disrupted Inter Miami, and maybe on another day we could have been struggling to break down a low block. But Inter Miami came out on another level today. Or yesterday, and they had an idea of keeping a high intensity. They knew exactly how they wanted to position their wingers. The midfield was brilliant in keeping their positions, and I thought Inter Miami was unbeatable yesterday. I don't think you could have beat Inter Miami with that Nashville team yesterday, no matter what tactics you employed, because we were just so superior and so crisp, and our game plan was on point. So kudos to the coaching staff, and the first half proved that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for Inter Miami, I think it has to do with the players. I thought they played really well.
Yep, absolutely.
They were just more talented, I think. Getting into the second half, 62nd minute, Inter Miami, in my opinion, put the game away. It's Rodrigo de Paul sort of playing as a deep line playmaker, pushes it wide to Messi on the right. Messi kind of attracts Daniel Lovitz and then pushes the ball forward to Ian Frey, who's making the overlapping run. Then Ian Frey whips in a excellent ball to Tadeo Allende, who does get the finish this time to the side of Joe Willis. Again, same four players we keep talking about, or same three players we keep talking about. Rodrigo de Paul sets it up. Messi with the hockey assist. This time, Ian Frey gets involved in the action with a really nice cross, and then Tadeo Allende with the nice finish. Inter Miami goes up 2-0, and it was, in my opinion, over because I didn't think Nashville had any sort of response to what Inter Miami was doing in this game.
Even with that one goal lead, Inter Miami felt comfortable. A lot of times this season, what has happened is Inter Miami goes up. There's moments during the game, I think, where Inter Miami plays well for 60 minutes, and there's at least 30 minutes where it's either 50-50 or the opposition is dominating and pressuring Inter Miami. At no point in the second half did I feel like Nashville was ready to go out and get the result against Inter Miami. I thought they were a bit like deers in the headlight, and the lights were a little too bright for them. On the play itself, we have to credit the fact that Palacios wasn't there, so Nashville was one player down. And Inter Miami, to their credit, used that exact moment to create that opportunity. Brilliant football IQ to think, okay, this is the chance where we have superior numbers in the box. Allende hadn't taken up that specific position the entire game. That was the only, that time, and then there were a couple of times after that in the second half where I think on corners he was in that position and had a similar opportunity. But that was the first time Allende took up a central position, like a true number 9 between the centre backs. Brilliant cross from Ian Frey, who I thought was pinpoint, made a really good run, gets a good cross in. And then Allende with a really nice header as well. That wasn't an easy header to do. And 2-0 Inter Miami deserved that.
Do you think that was a design play? Because it was a power play. Like, for those that aren't familiar with hockey, if you have a guy go out of the game for 2 minutes, that's when the opposition goes on the attack to try and score. And Inter Miami definitely went full throttle in those 2 minutes that Palacios was off the field. You're right. You see Allende cut inside or drift inside. But by the way, 2 yards behind him is Luis Suarez. And so if Messi comes out, he drags that right back out of sort of range, and you kind of just drop it off to Ian Frey. He has space, and then he has 2 targets right in the middle of the box at the edge of the 6-yard box who are available. So even if you miss the first one, the second one's right behind him. I don't know. Maybe that was a drawn-up play. Like, if we get up a man, we're gonna run this one.
Or maybe it was just an audible, where Messi thought to himself, listen,
maybe.
We can probably put a cross in here and hurt Nashville. Frey, make that run. And he made him run. And he made that play happen. But regardless, I thought Inter Miami needed to make most of that moment, because Palacios is obviously their star centre-back. They've been solid, both Zimmerman and Palacios. And him not being on the pitch hurt Nashville. And Inter Miami was able to capitalize on it.
Especially because it was one of their center backs, right? And they weren't as sturdy in that middle part of their defense, and especially they're more vulnerable to crosses into the box. And Inter Miami took advantage of it. So great play, or a great moment for Inter Miami, and they get the 2-0 lead. And I thought put this game away at that point. A couple other moments for them to kind of really just start making this a fun one. 74th minute, De Paul again clips in an opportunity for Tadeo Allende. He puts it just wide, but those two again getting involved and being dangerous. 89th minute, Matteo Silvetti comes in, has a nice step over and dribble past Daniel Lovitz. He goes down a little bit on the easy side, but you just saw that one-on-one ability that we haven't seen from a ton of guys at Inter Miami.
1-on-2, I think. Yeah, there were two defenders around.
Yeah, he splits them, yeah. And then ultimately, Inter Miami closes it out in the 96th minute. A Jordi Alba cross comes in. Joe Willis goes for it, gets hands on it, but then he kind of crashes into Walker Zimmerman, who's coming back to try and make a play. And then the ball just kind of is sitting there for Lionel Messi, who's in the right spot at the right time to pop it in. 3-0 Inter Miami. That's game. And I think we all felt really good at that point.
That third goal was emblematic of Nashville's performance yesterday. I think it summed up how their night was going. The game wasn't over. Obviously, they scored a goal, but I don't think it means anything. The commentators tried to make it seem like maybe that lifts them up going into that next game, but they were thoroughly outplayed yesterday. And in my opinion, that's the way you want to start off a playoff series, where you, at home at least, just completely dominate the opposition and don't give them a sniff at all. And that's exactly what Inter Miami did yesterday. They dominated Nashville and they showed that this is their ground. And if Nashville wants to win this series, they're going to have to come back and do it at Inter Miami's ground. It's not going to be easy. So really pleased with that performance. Everyone I thought performed at a different level. And this felt like playoff Inter Miami. This didn't feel like regular season Inter Miami, which is a good place to be. But as always, one game at a time. Job's not finished. There's a lot of more games to play if you want to win that MLS Cup. So let's go step by step.
Well, before that, let's just hit on that Hani Mukhtar goal. 101st minute. It's a free kick. Yannick Bright, kind of a silly foul, kind of pulls down, I believe, Tagseth, maybe like 4 or 5 yards outside the box. And then Hani Mukhtar steps up for a free kick. It's the last play. It's the last moment of the game, so it's irrelevant towards the final scoreline. It's irrelevant towards Inter Miami getting the 1-0 win. I thought the wall should have done better on that. I don't know how he got it over the wall, if I'm being honest.
The wall should have done better. Rocco got a hand to it. He may have been able to get a stronger hand. You can't blame him for being shorter. That is his weakness.
I think he was hoping. I think he was expecting the wall to cover that side.
Yeah.
And so that's why he was a little late to get over there, because he was covering the other side of the net. So,
but it's fine. In my eyes, the game ended in 99th minute. Any game that goes over 99th without actually having been in extra time is, I think, just it's over at 99th minute in my eyes.
Unless my team wins, then.
Unless my team wins, which they did, so it's fine. Good.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to dwell on it. I do think maybe the two guys that you would point blame on that one are not guys that you're going to give a ton of minutes to. So I think we can just leave it at that. Let's talk about Nashville, because I thought there was, and you mentioned this, there was more to learn about Nashville in this game than there was Inter Miami, both from a tactical perspective and also like who they are as a team. That 96-minute goal that Inter Miami scored, you mentioned it, kind of emblematic of their game. Just not quite good enough, not quite on the same page, not quite strong enough, technical enough, whatever it is, to stop this Inter Miami team. And even if they're working really hard and even if they're energetic and intense, like the ball just slips through to Inter Miami in the right moment. And what do you think of Nashville?
This is a very interesting conversation that we can maybe sit on for 2-3 minutes, because we played Nashville on decision day, which in the grand scheme of things helped us. The result came out 5-2. Probably shouldn't have been that. It was flattering to Inter Miami. Nashville a lot closer, but it gave you a sense of this is how Nashville might actually play. They gave us a blueprint of how Nashville could approach a particular playoff game. They could probably say the same about Inter Miami and how Inter Miami played in that second half. But I thought there was a lot to learn from that game, knowing that we're going to play them again in the playoffs. This game, as soon as we saw the lineup, and we said this in the pregame show, I don't think Nashville planned to do what they did in that decision day game. And we were right. They came out with a flat midfield, as the commentators mentioned, a 3 in the middle. They took out Alex Mule, who's not a traditional midfielder. They put in a traditional midfielder in there. And then you have an idea that they're trying to clog up the middle. They were a lot more conservative. They did not want to press Inter Miami too high. They were happy with Inter Miami having the ball, which inevitably played in Inter Miami's favor. a lot of the times this season, we've sort of struggled to break down that central part of the pitch, to be able to find pockets of space, to play that tiki-taka, to have Messi go through centrally and dribble past a lot of defenders. With Baltazar and Allende, I think that's sort of changed our dynamic, because now that if we're not able to do that, we just switch the ball out wide and we try to build out wide and then come back centrally and then go back out wide again. We've become a team that has different dynamics and things to show in the offense, which I've really enjoyed. Speaking of Nashville themselves, they sat back a little bit. They weren't as expansive. Sam Surridge basically had nothing to do, pocketed by Ian Frey and Maxi Falcon. Their biggest threat was Jacob Schaffelberg. And I thought Noah Allen, for what it's worth, despite that one moment of maybe a foul, maybe being a little bit weak, got away with it. But after that was brilliant. On the rewatch, I thought he did a lot of good in recovery runs. And that's all they have. Their front line is their biggest weapon. Their midfield is good, but I don't think it's as good as a midfield of Rodrigo de Paul and Sergio Busquets. They will run you, they will be energetic, but if you play with quality on the ball, Nashville doesn't have that much to offer. And now we know the two styles that they can play. I don't see a third style that BJ Callahan can bring up. The game in Nashville would either be very expansive or either be Nashville trying to turtle up and hope that they can catch Inter Miami on the counter. If Inter Miami plays the way that they did, this is the series for them to win.
Yeah, they definitely played more conservatively. What Inter Miami did such a good job of last week is sort of splitting these lines and having these really incisive through balls that helped Inter Miami generate incredible chances. And Nashville wanted to take that away from them, and so they played this system that tried to close the gaps in between the lines, and it worked. But then Inter Miami went over the top, and they hit Allende over the top, and they hit Messi over the top, and hit Suarez over the top, and then they went wide and hit on the crosses. And it's just like this Inter Miami team has so many ways to beat you that taking any of them away from Nashville is really asking. I'm sorry, taking any of them away from Inter Miami is just kind of opening up other opportunities. And then the other half of that is by doing that, you're taking away some of your ability to score goals going the other way. And it's like pick your poison for Nashville. You either go ultra aggressive, you leave yourself open, and you have some of the most clinical players in the league to slice you open, or you play more conservatively and they're still super clinical, so they're still going to find a way through, but you're giving yourself less of a chance to score going the other way. I just felt I don't know what you do if you're Nashville. I really don't.
I think their best chances of Inter Miami is their worst enemy, their own worst enemy. If Inter Miami plays poorly in that second leg, then Nashville has a chance. But I don't see 1-1 if both teams are on their game, how Nashville beats us. Don't want to get ahead of it. We may go into that second game and Nashville comes out all guns firing and catches Inter Miami off guard. A lot of things can happen. Referee decisions, stupid fouls, whatever.
I'm not sure Nashville can outplay Inter Miami for 90 minutes.
I think that's the takeaway.
I think you're right. I don't know if Nashville can beat Inter Miami. I think Inter Miami can lose to Nashville, but it's not the same thing, right? Okay.
But to their credit, they're a good team. We have to acknowledge that. They've played some really good football this entire season. And I think yesterday's game plan, if this was maybe 2 months ago, might have worked against Inter Miami. Probably would have worked against Inter Miami. But yesterday, Inter Miami was hungry. They were patient. They understood exactly how to break down a low block. They understood exactly how they want to utilize their forward line well. And then Messi did Messi. So unfortunately for Nashville, it wasn't enough. On to game 2.
I think they're a good team. I don't know if they're a great collection of players. And they could be scary one day if they make that happen. But for now and in this series, I'm feeling pretty confident. The other thing is Hani Mukhtar and Sam Surridge are their two goal scorers. They don't really create goals anywhere else. And if Inter Miami is able to shut them down, which they've done successfully, especially Mukhtar over the last 2 games, and then Sam Surridge for the last three halves, you got to feel really good about that.
Yep, absolutely.
Did you learn anything from rewatching about Inter Miami?
I was very surprised at how locked in Inter Miami was. 90 minutes, it felt like everyone was hungry, fighting for each other. The first goal came because Inter Miami was pressing and pressing well. It wasn't just a crazy press that two players trying to push the ball up and trying to win it over. It was everyone had a really good structure to them, and it felt very organized. It felt very organized, more so than we've seen in a while. And I think this puts me in a lot more confidence going into the next few games. But Inter Miami has to repeat this over the next 4 games if they want to win the MLS Cup. They can't just go in thinking they're going to dominate the opposition with their superior talent. It takes a lot of organization, a lot of concentration, and that's what the playoffs are about. One slip up and it's over. And yesterday, Inter Miami showed they came in prepared. They were prepared. I think that's the word that I'm looking for.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think Inter Miami out-talented Nashville last night. I don't know if I would say they out-schemed Nashville.
But there was more to it, right? They out-talented Nashville in that decision day game as well. That was, I think, out-talenting Nashville.
Oh, I think the opposite. I think that was
Really?
out-scheming them. I think they made some really nice halftime adjustments that changed everything in that game. This one, I just think they were better. And Nashville came at it with a game plan of let's try and keep Inter Miami to 0, maybe 1 goal, and then we'll have a chance. And Inter Miami just had the talent and was patient and calm and collected and didn't rush, didn't get frustrated, all those things. And then the goals eventually came. But from a tactical perspective, I thought this was a pretty bland game from Inter Miami.
Yeah.
Which was fine because that's what Nashville was allowing them to do, and the talent ended up shining through. But as we get into the second or third round or further, I'm not,
We
you
need
gotta
to
do what you
step it
got
up.
to do, but
Yeah.
we'll see. And then, the substitutions. I really don't think there was much to make of this Inter Miami game from a team perspective. I thought everyone played well. The one thing I did just want to make note of, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more in awards, they were excellent up the spine. Especially in that double pivot and in the center back position. I know some people were critical of Noah Allen, but I thought he played pretty well for most of this game. Maxi Falcon was awesome. And then the two midfielders, I thought, if they play like that, Inter Miami could really go far.
I think that's what Inter Miami needs to win this MLS Cup. If you were talking about beating someone like an LAFC, a Philadelphia, hell, even a Columbia or Cincinnati, you need your spine to be absolutely top-notch.
And then
Yesterday we saw a glimpse of it. I think there's more for it. I think there's room for even more superiority up the spine. And I hope by the end of the playoffs we can get there, assuming that we get to the end of the playoffs.
Yeah. And then as far as the subs, I don't think there's much to be made of it. The game was 2-0. It felt to me like it was over. So you want to give Segovia some minutes. You want to give Silvetti some minutes. Same thing with Yannick Bright. But it was just, we're in control. We're going to see this game out. And these subs are to make sure everyone gets comfortable on the field. I thought they all played fine, especially Silvetti and Segovia, who had more time on the pitch. So I don't know if there's anything to glean from that either.
Agree.
So you ready to get to awards?
I think so. I think I'd want to see Yannick Bright get more minutes throughout this playoffs, but he got 11 extra minutes yesterday than was planned, so maybe that's a start.
No, but I think the thing with Yannick Bright is if he's a substitute for either of the wide players, he'll come in early. And if he's a substitute for either Busquets or De Paul, he'll come in late, and that'll just be a game, how the game state is going. But, he's an awesome piece to bring off the bench. Okay, for those that haven't seen the show before, we give out 6 awards after every game, a Heron of the match, a Heron that flew north, and 2 individual awards each. And Saur, because you went first last time, it's my turn to go first. This time, I'm giving out the Heron of the match. I'm giving it to Lionel Messi because he's the best player in the history of the league. And he did it again last night. In that first half, I thought he was just couldn't be in more control. He was involved in all 3 goals, scoring 2 of them, one with a beautiful header, one just by being in the right place at the right time, and then he gets the hockey assist on the Tadeo Allende goal. I've been saying that if Miami wants to win games in the playoffs, they need two goal contributions from Messi. He gets 3 in this game, and Inter Miami wins 3-1. As well as the spine is playing, as well as the defense was last night, they're going to go as far as Lionel Messi takes them. And that's exactly how it's supposed to be.
What was the record? Like 25% of our Heron of the Match awards have gone to Messi.
This is the 22nd of the year. We played 52. So that's like 44%.
I think that's going to go up by the end of this. My goodness, what a player, man. And he's only getting better. Like, there's no stopping him. I was having a conversation with somebody who doesn't watch the MLS. They're sort of football fans. And they were like, Messi's washed now, right? I was like, yeah, Messi's washed. But he just won the Golden Boot and the MVP. But he's washed, obviously. He's washed. But he's going to outscore every single other player in the league and probably have the most number of goals this entire calendar year. But he's washed. My goodness, this is a player. The best that we've ever witnessed. Jordi Alba and Sergio Busquets are retiring this season. Messi's here for 3 more years, but enjoy every moment of it because this is a once-in-a-generation experience. And I'm just glad that he plays for our team. If Inter Miami is to win the MLS Cup, Lionel Messi is going to carry us all the way there. And you said it. That's how it should be. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
47 goal contributions in MLS play this season. I think he's going to finish with that 65 number. And I'm going to say I told you so from the get-go. I think he's sitting on 60 right now. Okay. I don't know if there's much else to say. I mean, he's in good form. He's healthy. He's scoring a ton of goals. You almost expect him, especially against Nashville. I do think the conversation totally changes if we have to go to Cincinnati, but against Nashville, I expect him to score 2 or 3 goal contributions a game, and Inter Miami to see it through relatively easily.
So what you're saying is you don't want to dissect that header goal for the next 30 minutes? Because I'm sure we can do that.
If you want to, we can.
No,
I'm happy
it was a brilliant goal. And you're so right when you tweeted out that someone of Messi's size should not be scoring as many good headers as he does. And long may it continue, man. Long may it continue.
And, potentially 3 more years of this too. So
yeah,
that's awesome. Okay. Heron that flew north. This one would have been easy for me, but I'm interested to see where you go with this. For those that don't know, Heron of the North player, Heron that flew north. Heron
that flew north. Do you want me to take this one? All right. The Heron that flew north award is one that we give out because Florida herons don't fly anywhere in the winter. So if you see a Florida heron flying north, or in fact anywhere, they're doing the wrong thing. And because of that, this award is designated to the player who did the wrong thing during the game. And it's my turn to give out the Heron that flew north award. And I might have an unpopular opinion, but again, it's my subjective opinion. So feel free to disagree with me. But I thought it has to go to Jordi Alba. He wasn't poor, he wasn't bad, but he wasn't as effective, and he had a few more poor moments compared to the rest of the starting 11. Everyone had a above average game yesterday. Jordi Alba was not that involved in a lot of the offensive play, which is a surprise. And maybe that has to do with the fact that he was going up against Jacob Schaffelberg. And maybe he had to do a little bit more defensive work. But I thought he had a few sloppy moments and looked frustrated the entire game. Didn't necessarily find himself on the same wavelength. And I thought a lot of the attack that Inter Miami created came from the right-hand side instead of Jordi Alba's left-hand side. So overall, an average performance from him. And Scotty, I'd like you to tell me why I am completely wrong about this.
No, I think you're right. He was the one player I think comes away with this with sort of disappointing remarks. Average maybe is how you'd put it when everyone else was pretty good. He just was like missing players with balls over the top, with short passes. Like it was just kind of a sloppy game from Jordi Alba. And I think that was representative of his performance. And I think the fact that we were able to create a lot of offense down the right side kind of made up for it. And you didn't really notice because Inter Miami was creating the moments that they needed. He finishes with 17 turnovers, which is a lot for a left back. And especially it's a lot for a guy that's not ultra involved in the offense. And so I'm okay with Jordi Alba having 17 turnovers if he also has 2 assists because he's just way high up the field playing ultra dangerously. That's not what we saw last night. I think it was just a sloppy game from him. And so in a game where everyone I thought played pretty well and some guys played fantastic, Jordi Alba was, I think, the outlier in terms of his performance last night.
And the second option I had was Allen. I'm not sure if you have an award for him, so maybe we can talk about him then. But there's a reason I didn't give it to Allen. And nod if you want me to continue with this conversation. For me, I thought Allen had a couple of moments that stood out a little bit because they put us under pressure. But over the course of the 90 minutes, I really liked what he did. There were a few recovery moments. So that Schaffelberg moment obviously stands out, and it wasn't the best play from him. But 30 seconds later, Hani Mukhtar was straight on goal, and Noah Allen poked the ball out when the defense got caught sleeping. He did that multiple times the entire game. Sergio Busquets had that moment where he gave the ball away in a very dangerous position. Noah Allen was there to clean it up. I thought over the course of 90 minutes, Noah Allen, his recovery, his positioning, and the way he paired up with Falcon to handle Sam Surridge and Hani Mukhtar was actually very good. And it was a very underrated performance from what he did. That's why I did not give it to Allen, because he was very solid for 80 of the 90 minutes that he played yesterday.
No, I thought he played really well with like 2 or 3 moments that bring it down to just pretty good. But overall was pretty good. There's so many moments in the game where it looks like Nashville or whoever we're playing is going to get out on the break. And then Noah Allen just chases it down, pokes the ball away, it goes out for a header, and then the team gets to reset. And it's like those don't really show up in the score sheet. They don't really show up in the highlight reels. They're not the moments that really pique your head up and make you go, oh no, he needs to make a last minute diving, stop or whatever, or force an incredible play defensively to stop it from becoming something serious. It's just casual, calm, and composed, and he just does it like 6 or 7 times. He did it like 6 or 7 times last night. So I thought Noah Allen played pretty well. And yeah, he has the bad moment in the 10th minute, but I thought he more than made up for it over the course of the game. He also fouls Schaffelberg, I believe, at the end of the first half.
Edge of the box. Yeah.
So those are the 2 moments you'd want back. But again, I thought he more than made up for it with the rest of his play. So I wouldn't have given Noah Allen the Heron that flew north for this one.
Correct.
Okay, my first award is the Great Leap Forward.
I like the political reference. Very well done. The Great Leap Forward award goes to Rodrigo de Paul because he just took a massive leap forward in his evolution as an Inter Miami player and has maybe unlocked this midfield in a way that we probably always needed.
Do you know what the Great Leap Forward was?
Of course. It was a pogrom.
It's the biggest famine in Chinese history.
In China, of course.
And you know who wasn't eating last night? Sam Surridge wasn't eating.
Oh my
Maxi
God.
Falcon said, "You're not getting any food. You're not getting anything to eat in this game." There was nothing for Sam Surridge because Maxi Falcon shut him down and said, "You're not eating tonight." And it was awesome. And then also, Great Leap Forward because he has been such a streaky player over the course of this season. But I do think over the last month to 6 weeks, he has really been consistently solid to good. And in this game, he was good. And that's huge for Maxi Falcon. He could be like a difference maker for us over the course of the next couple of weeks if he can maintain this level. Like, we've seen it a couple times this year. When he plays at that level, Inter Miami wins. Like they do, because he just takes the best attacker from the opposition out of the game. And that's exactly what he did last night. There was no eating for Sam Surridge.
First of all, I think that's one of the best awards that you've had in a long while. A, because, of course, I love politics and political references, but also fantastic. Yeah, I had an award for him, and my award was actually not as good compared to yours. So I'm glad that you gave this to Maxi Falcon. My other awards are much better. So I'm glad that we've got this out of the way. Man of the match, if not for Messi, I think, in my opinion. Well, maybe a couple of other shouts, but up there. Brilliant performance. Unfazed by anything he was facing on the pitch yesterday. Got into it with Sam Surridge, which I think shows that you sometimes need his feistiness in there just to make sure that the opposition knows that Inter Miami is not to just be toyed away. A lot of the times Inter Miami can be seen as a softer side that doesn't have that has the skill and the talent, but not necessarily the fight. Maxi Falcon brings that fight. He was poking and prodding and making himself an annoyance against Sam Surridge, and it was fantastic to watch. More than that, he was professional, he was clean, and he was doing everything that he needed to do to make sure that Hani Mukhtar and Sam Surridge don't go in. There were so many times where he just killed their attack entirely by stepping in at the right time. We've seen Luhan try to do that, and often at times Luhan gets turned and it leaves a gaping hole in behind. I think Maxi Falcon and Noah Allen do a very similar sort of a setup, but they do it just so much better. And of course, Noah Allen is there to sweep up if Maxi Falcon goes too far deep into the midfield or misses his one-on-ones. But yesterday, everything was sticking. They were clearing the ball out. They were good in the air, which for me was the biggest marker of how we deal with this Nashville team. And I can't say more good things about Maxi Falcon because we'd be sitting here for the next 2 hours. I really enjoyed his performance. Great award.
Philip Duich, the referee from last night, he established early that he was going to let the guys play a little more physically than some other referees would have, and I thought that really benefited Maxi Falcone. He was all over Sam Surridge, and Surridge couldn't break free, couldn't get loose, had nothing, really didn't have much service, and that was because Maxi Falcone played an awesome game, and he was able to take advantage of the fact that they were going to let the guys play last night. So really good performance from Maxi Falcone, and if he keeps it up, that's going to go a long way towards Inter Miami making a deep run.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, what is your first award?
My first award, and let me be sure I've got this right, is the Rosetta Stone Award. We got a few historical and political references today.
The Rosetta Stone Award. The Rosetta Stone Award. Is this?
Do you know
the
what
stone,
the Rosetta Stone is?
or is this the computer application?
No, this is the stone.
It's the stone that had 3 different languages, and it's what allowed modern researchers to translate ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. Because it
yes,
also
Google
had it
has
written
given
in
you the
Latin.
right answer.
No, I'm looking at the lineup right now to see who I think this
Okay.
might be. So who speaks different languages? I don't know. That one's losing me. I'm going to go with Rodrigo de Paul because he was one flavor of player before tonight or last night, and now he's a different flavor of player.
You've got the player right, the logic wrong, which sort of is, well, you won the game. But the Rosetta Stone, it had 3 different languages, I believe. It had Greek, it had Demotic, and hieroglyphics. And it it was a massive turning point for human history and culture because it let us translate Egyptian hieroglyphics into what we understood as language then. And it unlocked a completely different reality and intellect and knowledge base for us because the Egyptians were a superior civilization. Rodrigo de Paul is this team's Rosetta Stone. If we are able to translate what he has to offer, this team will be elevated to a completely different level. It will open up a new plane of knowledge for this team. And yesterday we saw a glimpse of that. If you put Rodrigo de Paul in a position to succeed and if he plays at his full potential, this team could be unstoppable. At least this season with Sergio Busquets already in there, who's probably like Indiana Jones deciphering all the translations and everything. So you put the Rosetta Stone next to Indiana Jones. If you get the best out of them, it's game over for the opposition. What a performance from him yesterday. I thought he was just smooth sailing Rolls-Royce midfielder, finding himself in the right positions, making some fantastic passes forward, defensively, very sound, offensively, very involved. Just the best game from him in an Inter Miami shirt so far. And I just hope this is not a glimpse or this is not a blip, but in fact, a glimpse of what's going to happen in the future. Next season, he's going to be our midfield linchpin. And he needs to find out a way to contribute to this team. And I feel like he might have taken a huge step towards that.
Yeah, I was going to give him the Reclawed Award because he was playing like a little kitty cat, and he got reclawed, and he started to look like a tiger. If he plays like that, Inter Miami is the best team in the league and can win the MLS Cup and maybe not even be challenged. That's how big of a difference the Rodrigo de Paul we saw last night compared to what we've seen for the last couple months was. He played like the guy we thought we were getting all along. And I think for the first time, we saw him play that role as effectively and impactfully as he did last night. Just speaking of last night, he was awesome. Everywhere, getting in guys' faces, making it very difficult for Nashville to progress the ball. He was doing all the defensive work that you wanted, winning balls, and then going forward, you see the quality that you never got from a Diego Gomez who, he's popping balls over the top. He's creating for his teammates. He's creating opportunities. He's putting in incisive passes, like all those things. He's making nice progressive carries. But defensively, I thought that was maybe his best game also, where he was just everywhere he needed to be at all times. 50-50 balls he was winning. And again, just the impact that getting in a guy's face in the MLS, especially a midfielder who's young and is not ultra technical, and forcing them to make mistakes, I thought was exactly how Rodrigo de Paul is supposed to play. And it's the thing we haven't seen from him much, where you can just wreck a midfield by destroying the confidence of the opposition midfielder by just making it too difficult for their talent level to overcome. And I thought we saw that really for the first time from Rodrigo de Paul last night. It was great to see, and it was the first time I think we've seen a performance from him where we're like, yes, now let's just figure out how to repeat that. Best performance from Rodrigo de Paul since we got here. Terrible award from you, but he's deserving of an award, and we'll leave it at that.
That is a fantastic award. I don't know what you're on about. That is the best award I could possibly. Reclawed, what does that even mean?
It's
just because you had one good award.
Back.
No, that is stupid. That is stupid. Rosetta Stone, it's a historical pivot in humanity's story. And maybe this game against Nashville was a historical pivot in Inter Miami's story. I will fight you for this. Come offline.
Okay, let's get to the next award.
Meet me outside, son.
Let's get to the next award. This probably not the best award, but I'm giving the Temperature Award.
Oh, I'm just glad you didn't give the Heartbeat Award because that would have put me over the edge. The Temperature Award. Oh, well, someone was hot. Let's see. Who was somebody who was running a temperature yesterday? We saw Suarez play very well. Maybe Rocco Rios Novo could be one. I think this award goes to Ian Frey because he was sizzling. And when he came off the pitch and you took his temperature, the thermometer was like, oof, cannot give a right reading right now because he's so hot. Ian Frey.
It is Ian Frey. And this is a dual-purpose award. First, Temperature by Sean Paul, Jamaican R&B artist or hip-hop artist. Made me think of it. That's not really the real reason. What we've seen from Ian Frey over the last game and a half is a spiciness that we haven't seen from him a ton this season. He is getting the flair back that I think was gone for a little bit of this year. And it was awesome to see.
Bless you. I'm just going to say that's the worst award because I had such a good award for Ian Frey. Such a good award. But I'm going to keep it for some time in the future.
Ian Frey offers you an attacking dynamism that you don't get from much of your midfield or any other right back. And I think probably by design, he was asked to tamper that down a little bit to be more of a support player. But what we saw last night is that he can still be an ultra aggressive flair type right back, still convert offensive opportunities into real chances, and also be really good defensively. And I like the spiciness that we've seen from Ian Frey over the last game and a half. And part of that goes to last week where he has a real fancy back heel assist to Messi. But even in this game, we saw him from the first minute driving the ball down the right side, trying to make his presence known. I think he's turning up the temperature. Maybe not the actual degree temperature, but the spiciness temperature. It's getting hot. And I think Ian Frey has a big role to play.
No, I think you said it. At the start of the game, he set the tone. And you could see he's ready for this. We talked about it in the pregame show. If any player is going to be fearless and ready for the lights, it's going to be Ian Frey. It's his first playoff run. And I think he's going to have a defining... If Inter Miami goes further into this playoffs, he's going to have a defining form and defining time. Because that's just 3 assists in the last 3 games. Well, 2 assists, 1 pre-assist. He's just going to be so important for Inter Miami on their right flank. And I think the reason for that is when Jordi Alba is not performing or is not having a game where he's contributing offensively, now you have Ian Frey who can be like, hey, it's fine, Jordi, I'll take it over on this side. And you saw so many moments where he would just glide across the pitch. And that's Ian Frey for you. He's brilliant. And if you'd given him the Heartbeat Award, that would have been fine as well, because this is his first playoff game, and he did it.
It is his first playoff game with Inter Miami. And also, like, we're getting towards the end of his Inter Miami career, I think.
Don't say that, man. Do not say that, man.
Well, I say it to make sure everyone appreciates him, because he's a free agent at the end of the season.
And he's going to have offers.
No team options for next year. So it's not like Inter Miami can just activate an option to keep him. They're going to have to get him on a new contract. And we haven't heard a ton of work being done towards that like we did with Noah Allen, like we've heard with Yannick Bright. And that makes me feel like he's really going to entertain European offers first. And so as we enter the playoffs where, you know, Inter Miami, they'd have to lose the next 2 in this round. But from that point on, it's one and done. Like, we could be looking at the last minutes of Ian Frey at Inter Miami, and considering his story and all the injuries and all the comebacks and the resilience to be the player that can have this type of impact right now is awesome. And so I just want everyone to appreciate Ian Frey while we're here.
I hope everyone does, because this is a phenomenal player.
Okay, what's your last award?
My last award is the Dr. Tasmanian Devil Award.
The Dr. Tasmanian Devil Award. Okay, can I ask you a clarifying question?
Sure.
Are we doing the Tasmanian tiger, the Looney Tune, or the actual animal?
Looney Tune.
Okay.
But also the Looney Tune character gets references from the actual animal, and it's the Tasmanian Devil, not the Tasmanian tiger.
Oh.
Taz was the Tasmanian Devil, by the way, from Looney Tunes, not a tiger.
What is the award? I thought you said that.
Dr. Tasmanian Devil.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, who's going on a spin cycle in this one? It's Matteo Silvetti, because he put some of those Nashville defenders in the spin cycle with his little step over and cut through.
See, that's why you got to listen to my awards. It's not just the spin cycle animal. It's the doctor version of the spin cycle animal. Just like Matteo Silvetti, we had another spin cycle in this team in Baltazar Rodriguez, who, as I referenced last time...
Actually, probably more fitting for Luis Suarez, who actually had a shot, catch, spin, and second shot.
Listen, let me complete my full award, okay? Baltazar Rodriguez, as I referenced last night, used to be a headless chicken, just running around like a crazy man all over the pitch, trying to impress. And a lot of the times he did have moments where he was like, damn, that was great. But over the last few weeks, he seems to have gone to school, got educated, became a bit refined. And now he's a PhD Tasmanian Devil who knows exactly when he needs to be the spin doctor. He knows exactly when he needs to create the chaos. But the rest of the 90 minutes, it's not like he's running around like a headless chicken. He's actually contributing to the team. So he's no longer just the spinning random animal all over the place. He's one who's like got his glasses on, reads a book from time to time, and then presses when he needs to, defends when he needs to, passes when he needs to, and shoots when he needs to. He has become more educated, more knowledgeable, and I think we need to enjoy Baltazar Rodriguez in the playoffs because he could have a big, big moment, but also could determine whether he's on into Miami for the next year or two.
Yeah, he's playing really well. I know it's not maybe as flashy as it was. Like, he had that crazy goal, but I think his all-around performances are really helping the team in a really nice way. So I'm just really surprised you gave him an award. But
I liked what he did yesterday because it was difficult on that side of the pitch with Jordi Alba and Baltazar Rodriguez. And I thought it needed to be appreciated that he was actually very lively yesterday in more ways than one, not just offensively, but also defensively. And I like a player who can contribute even when he doesn't score or assist. And I thought Baltazar had a game like that yesterday.
Yeah, I've been
and
liking
also this was like my
lately.
4th award. You stole 2 of my awards, so I couldn't do anything.
I just, I think Luis Suarez could have done with the spin cycle award. And I thought he played pretty well moving forward, moving on to the next one.
You had the spin cycle award for Luis Suarez, didn't you?
No, we used all of my awards too, though. Luis Suarez has that one moment where he kind of really creates something out of nothing on that second trot with the spin. I thought he played pretty well in this game. Did a really nice job of creating space, I thought, especially attracting defenders centrally and allowing those wide balls to be dangerous and open and have the player putting the ball in to have the space to put it where he wanted to. So I thought he had a pretty good game. Sergio Busquets, I thought, was fantastic in this game. I'm surprised he didn't get an award. He deserves real mention. And then Tadeo Allende gets the goal, and also if he plays like that, could be like the sort of X factor that Inter Miami has.
Some behind the scenes tidbits. I actually wanted to give both Rodrigo de Paul and Sergio Busquets the Rosetta Stone Award. So if you had picked Rodrigo de Paul, I would have given it to Sergio Busquets. But yeah, the award went to Rodrigo de Paul. So, oh well.
Imagine if you just gave first the Rosetta Stone to Rodrigo de Paul and then the Rosetta Stone to Sergio Busquets after.
That's why I didn't send that to the graphics department. See, I'm maybe a little slow, just not that slow.
I thought Busquets was awesome, especially defensively.
Fantastic.
But in terms of, he's playing incredible now. And like, it's hard to have a conversation about him without referencing that he's going to retire at the end of this. And just like Ian Frey, like that could come really quick when it comes, right? Inter Miami, I think, feels pretty good about these last this round, but then from that point on, it's one and done, and any single one of those games could be the last game for Busquets. And so for him to play like this, especially defensively, is just a joy to watch. And again, when all these guys are playing like this, especially with Rodrigo de Paul and Maxi Falcon added to that list, this team is going to be really hard to beat because they're just there's just so much quality across the board. And then Rocco Rios Novo. Like, I can't believe we went through so much of this season with Oscar Ustari as the goalkeeper. And I don't think Rocco did anything particularly amazing last night, but I just feel really comfortable with him right now.
I thought it was a really good performance from Rocco. And you're right, it wasn't flashy. He just kept it very professional. And that was good. Maybe he could have done better on that free kick. But I'm very comfortable with Rocco as our keeper right now. And every time I say that, I think back to the first day that we signed him, and I was like, why is he even here? So well done to him. Thought he had a really good performance.
Yeah. And then My last question is, that's the 11 we all saw coming into the playoffs. One of the things about cup play and tournament play is that everything changes from game to game. But I don't think anything changed in that game in terms of this being the right 11. This is going to be the right 11 on Saturday going at Nashville to try and close this series out. And I would be surprised if this isn't the 11 we see throughout the playoffs.
I think this is at this moment in Javier Mascherano's system. This is the best 11. You can tweak it, you can make changes if you need to, but this should be the starting 11 for Javier Mascherano and the way he plays. And I'm very happy that this is what Javier Mascherano went with today, and we got vindicated by the selection. It wasn't like this game went terribly wrong in certain ways, and Javier Mascherano going into the next game has to completely refigure how he wants to play against Nashville. It reinforced that this was the right selection. The players did what they had to do on the pitch, and going into that next goal, it's going to be going into that next game, it's going to be important to build that confidence and chemistry, because you need a set 11 in the playoffs.
Yeah, there was a question from Henry in the chat. Oh, sorry. Is there anything else about this game?
No, I think it was a fairly straightforward game. I don't think it revealed anything much about Inter Miami that we didn't know already. So, good game.
Yeah, before we look forward, I just want to go back to Henry's question in the chat. He said a lot of podcasts are giving Inter Miami really zero chance to win the MLS Cup. A lot of people like LAFC, Vancouver, and they reference Inter Miami's defense as the thing that's going to ultimately cost them. One game into the playoffs for all teams, but also Inter Miami. How are you feeling about Inter Miami's chances? Because I think both of us have been relatively pessimistic about their chances to win the entire thing over the last 7 months. And yet here we are, for me at least, probably as confident as I've been in 7 months.
But still, I would say Inter Miami is not the favorites to win the MLS Cup. They are one of the favorites, but they're not the outright favorites. And in the MLS, anything can happen. Last season, Columbus was playing so well. They were purring. They didn't even get to the conference finals. New York Red Bulls came out of nowhere to reach the conference finals. Anything can happen in the playoffs, and I think we have to take it game by game. Inter Miami is a very solid team right now. They're playing really well, and they should feel good about themselves. Inter Miami fans should feel good about themselves and hope that their team can get it to the finals. And having Messi is definitely a confidence booster, but it's not guaranteed. So we shouldn't take anything for granted. And if Inter Miami gets knocked out of the playoffs, it's going to be disappointing, absolutely. But it wouldn't be outright surprising, because we're at that point where this Inter Miami team is not overwhelmingly favorites. Anything can happen, and that's how we should proceed with this. Go game by game and let's see what goes on. For those rating Vancouver and LAFC highly, I think the West is not as competitive as the East. So people might be surprised going into that MLS Cup final. Whoever comes out from the East, they basically had to go through a bloodbath to get to that final. So I won't be surprised if one of the East teams actually wins it this year. Maybe it's Inter Miami. Hopefully it's Inter Miami.
Yeah, I'm not worried about any of the West Coast teams. Because remember, they would have to come to Chase Stadium. And I think Inter Miami at home would beat any of them, especially if they have to cross the country to make that happen. So I would feel really good in the final against LAFC or Vancouver. It's a matter of if Inter Miami gets there. If their midfield, especially Rodrigo de Paul, but also Busquets, play like they did last night, and if their back line plays like they did last night, they're not going to get overwhelmed by anyone. They're going to be in every game. Even, they'll give up a goal or two, but they're going to be in every game. And if that's the case, you're just setting it up for Lionel Messi to win you the game. And so I go back to what I've been saying for months. Inter Miami needs 2+ goal contributions from Messi every game they win. And if they get that, which they totally can, because Messi's that player. He's that guy. He really is that guy. They can win the MLS Cup. And I think if they continue to get 2+ goal contributions from Messi and Rodrigo de Paul and Maxi Falcon play like they did last night, I think they will. But that's not something I would guarantee right now. So we'll leave it at that.
We won that first playoff game against Atlanta, and it all went downhill from there. So let's take it game by game. Job's not finished. It's not going to be finished for another 4 games. And you have to be with your feet on the ground. So that's what I'm going to do. I know that might come across as pessimistic to some people, but I'm just going to go game by game and see how I feel before every single game. Going into the next Nashville game, I feel confident Inter Miami should be able to beat them. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I was looking through our old streams from last year, and it was the same setup. Inter Miami wins game 1, and then
But not as comfortably.
Not as comfortably, although I think they would have if it wasn't for Brad Guzan. Like, it was 2-1, but we thought that could have been 5-1 if Brad Guzan didn't play out of his mind. What I want to say is that next midweek, a couple of days later, we did an episode, and the thumbnail, I didn't rewatch the episode, but the thumbnail is Neymar in a Miami kit. So our brain was clearly not focused on this series like I think it will be this week. So that's that. Guys, the next game for Inter Miami is on Saturday. They're playing at Nashville, and then they'll play the following Saturday back at Chase Stadium if they have to. The following week is the international break. There's no MLS Cup games, which means if Inter Miami wins on Saturday at Nashville, they won't play for 3 weeks until the conference semifinals. And that, to me, is also going to be really interesting to see how they handle that. But I think right now Inter Miami's in a great position to advance on Saturday night.
Onwards and upwards, baby. What do we say? 4 more games, 4 more wins, and we're there.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on this early Saturday morning episode. New time, but it was fun, and now you guys can go enjoy your weekend of, European soccer or college football or NFL or whatever it is. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back some point this week with a midweek episode focused on Nashville in some way, and we'll see you guys next time. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Do us a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Since our first viewer, sharing this with you all has been the very best part. So from the beginning until the end, thank you for being a part of this, and have a wonderful day.